Bill Gates, who's also another one of these weirdo lizard people, here he is in 2008 with Klaus Schwab, and they're into population reduction, which kind of makes you think that it's weird that they had everybody injected with this experimental not vaccine, doesn't it? Here they are. Enjoy.
What would you like to see as your legacy in 10, 15 years?
I set very ambitious goals because I'm quite optimistic. If you look at, say, the 20 diseases that our global health program goes after, I'd hope that within 15 years, over half of those, we could have had a very dramatic impact. And so, you know, huge change in the mortality rates in developing countries, which then has this effect of reducing population growth. That's this big benefit that then makes everything like education and nutrition a lot easier.
Do you see how twisted these people are? You see what gets him off right there at the end? Oh, we'll increase mortality rate. There will then be less people so that we can have the more educated. And these are anti-human weirdos. That's what they are. They are anti-human. They want less people.
After that, we've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
And so we set an ambitious goal to cut our greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030. And to reach net zero emissions.
Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 agenda for sustainable development and the SDGs.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
That was Bill Gates, also a regular of the World Economic Forum. They gave him the Medal of Freedom, and he's also a doctor now, and he wants to inoculate the entire planet. Let's just be honest with each other. These people want to get rid of us, enslave the strong ones, and remove the useless eaters.
Depopulation. Does that sound like some sort of wild conspiracy theory to you?
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
That was Jane Goodall. She works with the World Economic Forum. She got a knighthood and all sorts of awards for her humanitarian work.
To contemplate whether we are in the stages of the fourth industrial revolution about to begin. What a breathtaking possibility that is.
What should be done about population?
For a long time, it was considered politically incorrect to even mention it, and most of the big conservation organizations refused to mention it. Reduce the number of people on the planet. Because there's too many of us. And then the third is the opulent lifestyle of the rest of us.
That's us in the West?
Yes.
What are we doing wrong?
Well, don't we all have far more than we need?
They are now pushing the Great Reset, where everything will have to be transformed, including your mindset and your behavior. The head of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, he says all aspects of our societies and economies need to be revamped. Even our thinking and our behavior will have to dramatically shift. He said we need a new social contract. It's got to be centered on social justice. He says that every country from the United States to China must participate, and every industry from oil and gas to tech must be transformed. We need stronger and more effective government. We must build entirely new foundations for our economic and social systems. This is all direct from Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum.
Our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century.
And the claim that there are too many people on the planet is an anti-truth. So, you know, people say, well, you have to accept limits to growth and et cetera. It's like, I have to accept the limits that you're going to impose on me because you're frightened of the future. That's your theory, is it? Okay.
I have no doubt that the fundamental source of all our problems, particularly our environmental problems, is population growth. I can't think of a single problem that wouldn't be easier to solve if there were less people.
No, I'm talking about literally a woman cannot get another woman pregnant. A man cannot get a man pregnant. A man does not have a womb. Let's knock it off. Let's be serious about this. True. What kind of government would encourage such a thing? A government that wants to get rid of you, but wants to get rid of you in a way where you will accept it.
Always. All the religious groups are against me because I'm talking about population. They want more souls. I want less on the planet.
It was considered politically incorrect to mention it. I decided to call it voluntary population optimization. So by the time people worked it out.
They're going to carry out the forced depopulation of 90% of us, and their time frame is 2030, and they have their surrogates all over the news telling us that it's our fault that all the systems are breaking down, while they deliberately go down the line, turning the civilization infrastructure off in front of us.
I'd like to take a moment just off the top to recognize a founder of the World Economic Forum and a great Canadian, Maurice Strong. Today, we are gathered here.
Farmers are dumping manure onto government buildings and onto the roads. They are turning freeways into fields and setting them on fire. They are sending a message out to the people that government-decreed starvation is coming. And it's not just the French. It's happening in Germany, Greece, Spain, Belgium, Italy, and Ireland, and it looks like it's just getting started.
Farming needs to stop. That's the single biggest driver of climate change.
Climate change. All of this is simultaneously happening while the American agricultural industry is being directly attacked, that the emissions from cows, both in the dairy and the meat industry, are destroying the environment.
Imagine a government that cares so much about us and about the climate that they're willing to destroy the food supply and starve us to death.
Another food processing plant fire happened yesterday in Montebello, California. California has experienced its share of devastating processing plant fires.
This shows the alarming rates of fires at manufacturing plants, grocery stores, food pantries, farms, and grain factories. It's likely that over 100 of these fires have taken place just this year.
The war against the farmers has nothing to do with just taxing diesel to reduce emissions. Most people already know that climate change is a power grab. What they really want is to take over the land, control the food supply, and make us dependent on disgusting GMO, made in a lab, cancerous food that Bill Gates and all these other puppets wants to shove down our throats. And that's why farmers from across Europe are revolting, and rightfully so. Meanwhile, the rotten media are barely talking about it, while demonizing the farmers the same way they demonized the truckers during the Freedom Convoy. Their mandate is to make hard-working, blue-collar, patriotic workers look like the enemy.
But when you've got well over a dozen food processing plants and warehouses getting destroyed or seriously damaged over just the last few weeks, at a time when the food supply is already vulnerable, it's obviously suspicious, and it could lead to serious food shortages. That's why some folks are now wondering, well, number one, what's going on? And you've got some people speculating that this might be an intentional way to disrupt the food supply.
There's been all these crazy fires, like an inordinate amount of fires at these food processing plants, and it genuinely has been happening a lot. Fires and accidents happen at factories all the time. It is highly irregular that you have this many fires happening.
There have been confirmed over a dozen disabling accidents at food plants in the last month, over a dozen.